Good morning. I'm here with Fuzzy Duenkel. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And we're here to
Close
chat
enough.
about the class that he will be teaching at the New York Photography Workshop in the Finger Lakes that will be taking place July 23rd through 28th. And Fuzzy, what's the name of the program that you'll be teaching that week?
Well, the program that I'll be giving is, I've really called it Go Home. I see that it was listed as mediocre to marvelous, which is really a little bit different program than I give, but basically it'll cover everything photographically that we can possibly get into. And it covers mostly high school senior photography, but it's primarily about lighting, and so that can be applied to any type of genre of portrait.
That sounds fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit about your photography origin story?
Sure. I started with photographing weddings, as many of us did back in 1975, and I evolved into portraits in the early 80s because it was frustrating working at weddings, trying to be creative in such a time crunch. So I started photographing portraits because I have more time to be creative and to get what you want. And seniors seem to give me the most latitude. Pets, babies, there's not a whole lot of patience there. So or kids. So I really enjoyed doing seniors. But we photographed all kinds of portraits over the years. But anyway, so we started with that, and then I think that should
Well, how
cover
did
it.
that lead you to creating this class, this program?
I've always been interested in lighting for portraits because part of the name of photography, I guess, is light scribing or painting with light or whatever it is. But light is extremely important to portraits. So that's always been a fascinating topic for me, because when I look at a photograph, I can't help but wonder how it was lit, because that's a lot has to do a lot with the magic of the image. When I'd see a beautiful image, I wonder, well, how did they light that? Because lighting can make somebody ugly or beautiful. It just depends on how it was done. So the lighting is a primary part of the course. And the more I got into it, the more I realized I didn't know. So I began learning about it, and then once I got a good handle on it, then I started teaching it.
Well, you've already told us a little bit about what you're going to be covering in the program, but can you give us a little bit more specifics of the kinds of things that you'll be tackling during that week-long program?
Sure, we go through all kinds of types of light, whether it be um, natural light, existing light, ambient light, whatever you want to call it, and then controlling the light with modifiers like blockers, reflectors, and then we get into auxiliary lighting like LED lights and flash, and we cover all kinds of different flash units and modifiers for the flash.
Wow.
So that's primarily it.
Okay. So are you expecting students to bring anything to the class, like their own lighting, or will you be providing all of that? Can you tell us a little bit about what you'll be bringing and what you would like to see the students bring to class?
Sure. No, well, I'll take care of the lighting. And we'll try to do some lighting that anyone can photograph. In other words, I work with TTL flash almost exclusively these days, but that doesn't help other photographers who don't have my flash system. So I'll try to be using as much ambient and controlled light with reflectors and gobos as possible, so that they can get an image of the models as well. And I assume we are going to be working with a model or two, and because that helps to see, to be able to understand what I'm teaching, to see it in practice. But no, they don't have to bring along lighting, just a camera. They don't have to shoot. They don't have to photograph the model. If they just want to photograph pullbacks, that's perfectly fine. In fact, that's what I recommend, because when I teach, this isn't really an opportunity for them to pad their portfolio. This is a teaching situation where we want to help guide them and help them learn lighting, not just to get pictures of a pretty model. So pullbacks are really the preferred way, but if they want to do close-ups, because that's helpful as well to see the effects on the face. So a wide angle to telephoto type of lens would work.
Will So will you also be covering some of the processing of these photos after they've been produced? I mean, I'm just imagining that the quality of light can change significantly once you see it in on your computer screen.
Right, right. I will be doing that. I don't necessarily I have my program covers everything that I do on the back end as well. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing some processing live or if I'll be just sharing the step-by-step procedures I show in my program. One thing about the program that I really enjoy is when we get to photograph a model, if we have sunlight, that's what we have to work with. If we have clouds, that's what we have to work with. But with my program, I cover all of the different various lighting, um, potential lighting situations that we encounter, and so it's more informative that way. So it'll be more narrow based on the location and the situation surrounding the session. But when in my program, I cover it all. So the same with post processing. While I can do some things live, I'll also be sharing the software and the techniques that I do in the program.
Wow, that sounds really comprehensive. That's fantastic. So is there anything that you recommend that students know before they come to class? Anything that they should be reviewing before they come to the workshop?
It helps if they have a fundamental or just a basic level of photography. My course is based mostly on not advanced, but people who know how to point a camera at a person. Beyond that, I can take it from there. This isn't really for ranked amateurs or beginners, but more for the photographer who has photographed people in the past. So beyond that, I don't really know what resources they would need to check ahead of time.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just thinking, I've done the certified professional photographers program, certification through PPA. And I know that there is that formula that you're supposed to know about lighting that I can never remember that most basic formula. See, I can't even remember what the name of the formula is, but I don't know
I
if
have
that,
not heard of. I don't know what that is.
oh,
Are you
something
talking about
about, lighting diminishes over a certain distance. Um,
the
I don't
fall
know.
off of the
But
inverse square?
to me, that formula always confused me more than it was helpful. So I don't know that necessarily any too much advanced preparation other than having that experience of photographing
Okay,
portraits would be
okay.
necessarily helpful to
Well,
taking this
there will be
course.
no math in the program in
Thank
case.
you. Thank you. I'm so happy to hear that. That makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
So are there any, just finally, are there any resources or videos that you recommend that people watch before they come to this course, or um,
Well,
is there
they
anything you
can. I
can
do
share?
have some resource materials on my website for purchase, but that's not necessary for them to buy that. They may want to because it'll give them a head start on what we're going to be talking about, and then they can see it live when they're there. But again, this isn't a sales talk, so I don't want to really push that.
Okay, but I'll make sure that they have access to those links so that they can see
Okay.
them if they want to. All right, well, I'm really excited about this workshop. It's going to be really a lot of fun, a lot of learning, and I think pretty intense too.
Okay.
But
It will be, and I'll try to keep it as light as possible. And in the program, it does get a little heavy, so I have little goofy slides interspersed in there just to lighten it up a little bit. I did think of one thing. They want to check my website to see the photographs that I've done. That will give them a head start on what I tried to teach and how to do what I did on my website. And that's at dunkel.com, DUENKEL.com. Just to see the seniors and the other types of portraits that I've done. I'm somewhat retired at this point, so they may see that notice there that I've limited my sessions these days, but I'm concentrating more on teaching rather than making a living at photographing these days.
sounds good. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to tell us a little bit about your course. Is there anything else that you think that I didn't ask that you think prospective students might want to hear about?
Well, I've always wanted to know where babies come from, but we probably won't be getting into that.
All right. Yeah, we'll leave it at that then. Thank you so much. Let me stop the recording then. Let's see.